We always talk about reading versus journaling like it's some kind of competition. Which one is better for you? But what if that's completely the wrong way to look at it? What if they're not competitors at all, but actually two parts of one single, incredibly powerful system? Let's dive into how these two work together, kind of like a form of intellectual breathing. Okay, I know this sounds a little intense, but stick with me here. Are you intellectually obese? It's a real question we have to ask ourselves in this age of just constant information. I mean, we consume articles, podcasts, books like crazy. But does all that input actually lead to any real change? Or does it just leave us feeling kind of bloated and full, but ultimately stuck? And this, right here, is the modern problem. It's what happens when we treat ideas like groceries. We just pile them into our cart, but we never get around to actually cooking a meal with them. We read a book just to say we've read it, but nothing in our daily life, nothing in our head actually shifts. We're taking all this info in, but we're not making it a part of who we are. So, how do we fix this? Well, we need a better way to think about it. Imagine your mind works just like your lungs. To really feel alive, you need that constant, rhythmic exchange. You have to breathe in all the wisdom the world has to offer, but, and this is key, you also have to breathe out and process what's going on inside you. So here's how it breaks down. Reading, that's our intellectual inhale. It's how we bring in new ideas, fresh perspectives, different ways of thinking into our system. But then you've got journaling. That's the exhale. That's the output, where we sort through it all, organize it, and really make sense of it. For this to work, you absolutely need both. So let's start with that inhale with reading. At its core, reading is all about expansion. It's like opening a window to worlds and ideas you would never ever bump into on your own. It's how you get to explore all the different versions of who you could become. And the benefits here are just huge. You're getting wisdom, decades of someone's life experience compressed into a few hours. You're building empathy, what psychologists call theory of mind, which is just a fancy way of saying you get better at understanding that other people have totally different thoughts and feelings than you do. And crucially, it retrains your brain for deep, focused work, which is so hard to come by these days. And get this, the physical impact is absolutely staggering. Did you know that just 6 minutes of reading can slash your stress levels by up to 68%? That's more effective than listening to music or even going for a walk. And big picture, long-term readers actually have a 20% lower risk of mortality over a 12-year period. So yeah, reading doesn't just expand your mind, it might literally extend your life. This quote just nails it. I mean, really think about that. For the price of a cheap paperback, you get a one-on-one mentorship with the most brilliant people who have ever lived. That's a pretty incredible deal, right? All right, but remember, input is only half the battle. Now we need to talk about the exhale, journaling. If reading is a window looking out, journaling is a mirror looking in. This isn't about expansion, it's about excavation. It's the work of taking all those messy, scattered thoughts in your head and turning them into something clear and useful, a story about who you really are. Journaling helps you regulate your emotions just by naming them. It's a cool trick called affect labeling, and it actually shifts activity in your brain from the emotional part to the more logical part. It brings clarity. It's like a brain dump that frees up mental space. And honestly, in today's world, it's a powerful act of digital asceticism. You're choosing to unplug from all the noise and just listen to yourself for a change. And the data here is just as wild as it is for reading. We're talking a 20 to 45% reduction in symptoms of depression and anxiety from journaling consistently. So while reading can give you a break from stress, journaling can help you actually work through it by getting all that internal chaos out onto the page. So, what happens when this whole system gets messed up? What if you're only inhaling or only exhaling? Well, that's where the trouble starts. You're either intellectually holding your breath or you're hyperventilating. If you only inhale, meaning you just read and read and read without ever stopping to think, you get what's called intellectual noise. It's just a giant pile of ideas in your head with nowhere to go. On the flip side, if you only exhale, just journaling without any new input, you get trapped in a self-referential fog, basically just spinning your wheels and recycling the same old thoughts over and over again. So here's the absolute key takeaway. These two things are not competing with each other. They're partners. They work together. Journaling helps you dig deep and figure out who you are right now, while reading opens up your world and shows you all the amazing people you could possibly become. Okay. So we know the problem, we know the ideal system, but how do we actually do this? How do we find that healthy rhythm in real life? Don't worry, there's a super simple protocol for it. It's a simple little loop. Read, think, Journal. First, you read, but just a little bit. Stop before you feel overwhelmed. Second, and this is the most important part, you close the book. Seriously, step away from the input. And finally, you open up your journal to actually process, to metabolize what you just took in. And if you want to supercharge that process, just ask yourself these 3 simple questions. 1, what did I actually learn here? 2, do I even agree with this? And 3, the big one, how am I going to apply this to my life? This is how you go from just consuming information to actually transforming yourself. Now, if you need a rule of thumb, think about the 70-30 rule. Try to spend about 70% of your time on the journaling part, on processing and crystallizing your thoughts, and just 30% on the reading. This simple shift forces you to stop just collecting ideas and start actually building your own. So we've got the whole system down, right? Inhale, exhale, read, journal. But you know what? The cycle isn't really finished until we take what we've learned off the page and bring it into the real world. So let's just pull it all together real quick. Journaling is output. It brings you clarity and authenticity. It's that internal mirror. Reading is input. It builds your empathy and your knowledge. It's the external window. See? Each one has a totally distinct, totally vital job to do. But even if you get that balance perfect, there's one more piece. True fulfillment needs what you might call a third pillar, or maybe a door that leads out into the world. This is the final step. Taking all those brilliant insights you've figured out and actually doing something with them through action and connecting with other people. That's when you complete the cycle. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with the question to really think about. When you look at your own life, your own habits, which part of this mental respiratory system have you been neglecting? Are you inhaling way too much without ever exhaling? Or are you maybe stuck in that fog, just recycling the same old thoughts, desperate for some fresh air?